So love it. We love this series as well. Trico Trans Am firing up for race 2. Nathan Hearn and Jet Johnson. Granddad is here and Dad running the car. Brodie Kostecki off P3 looking for a little bit more car speed from the Boost Mobile Camaro. Brett Holdsworth up to third in the championship after yesterday. Dalton and Girton next. Gricey's off 7 alongside Owen Kelly. Come to that in a minute. Elliot Barber and Jackson Rice rounding out the top 10.
A good run for Rice yesterday inside the top 10. McCorkindale and James Simpson, his best result in his short career, starts out at 12 with Harrison McAllister out of 13 and 14. Jack Sipp on debut will start from 17 with Thornborough, who's got a lot of work to do in the Sydney Property Care entry. Mick Rowell had his best result yesterday too with Mark Crutcher, John Hollinger and Tim Brook, who scored that penalty a long way down in 22nd position today. Bircher, Warren Wadley, who makes his debut, Tom Heyman also out of 25, and Nick Carroll, who had engine dramas once again, starting with Scatella and Nash Morris.
So you saw in the replay of the highlights of race 1 yesterday that contacted turn 1. Down the inside was Tim Brook, locked the inside front brake, and the moment that happened, it was always going to be a penalty. The driving standards crew would have judged that car to have not been in full control. There was contact with Owen Kelly. It was pretty straightforward in the end, and Tim Brook was penalised 30 seconds, which is the equivalent of a drive-through penalty. So as a result, he's a long way down the field. Owen Kelly dropped outside the top 20, blazed his way through the field and got himself to the 4th row of the grid. So he's right in the mix here. Keep an eye out for the Fujitsu car. He'll start from driver's left. There he is, car 73 from the 4th row of the grid. So this will be a really exciting race. Trico Trans Am, rolling start.
Ready.
And we're underway for race 2 at Queensland Raceway. It's busy in the back there, 3.5, 4 wide, cars off with 2 wheels in the dirt. And they hold their breath through turn 1. Hearn has cleared them. He's out in front. Kostecki gets to 2nd, Johnson 3rd. I spoke to his dad, Steve, this morning. He said, I really don't care where we come out of turn 1. I just care that we come out of turn 1. And he's done that so far.
And we're still going to be 3 wide here as Elliot Barber parks the Pioneer DJ 27 down the inside of Grice. It's Holdsworth just ahead in the Breeze Holiday Parks entry. It's out of turn 3, so much tidier affair here in race number 2 as they work their way down to 4 and 5. In car with Holdsworth, it's busy just ahead. That should be Dalton in the 45. And they're still side by side. Girton, got to be careful here because Holdsworth will move across and just as we predicted, he'll get 2 wheels on the dirt and gives him a bit of a love tap for good measure. And here comes Owen Kelly in the Fujitsu 73 on the outside. He's going to be careful he doesn't get hung out here with Girton and Grice as they come through to complete lap number 1.
Okay, move for OK. That was around the outside. Lots of commitment, looking to make up some ground. He's already got 2 spots from 8 to 6 in the first lap. Nathan Hearn leads. He's got so much experience. Oh, you just hold your breath when they go side by side through turn 2, but they all come out the other side. Grice looking to get into this. Elliot Barber in the Pioneer DJ car having a really good run. And then John McCorkindale, who had an absolute shocker in qualifying, outside the top 20. Raced his way to 11th yesterday, which was a great drive. This is a guy inside the top 10 in the championship.
Oh, it's Kostecki opening the door, teasing the Napa Auto Parts Academy driver of Jet Johnson. That's McCorkindale, who's a relative newcomer to the series this year. Keep an eye on Tim Brook. He's up 6 positions already, up to 16th, and Nash Morris up into 18th in the early stages of this one.
That shot of Johnson coming out of turn 3 from afar, it looked like a sprint car, the amount of wheel work. It's like when you watch them on the banks there on the dirt tracks. The amount of opposite lock they have to feed into these cars. And you saw that in the track guide with Ben Grice. He spent more time turning the opposite direction to the corner. These cars naturally slide. They're 1,250 kilos with driver, so they're not overly heavy, but they run a bagged tyre. It's a cross-ply tyre from Hoosier, so they naturally slide around. They're very high profile. There's a lot of movement in the tyre itself. The cars just naturally don't have any downforce either, so they slide around a lot. Tim Brook making moves. He's up to 15th. And Nash Morris following him through.
Tom Heyman also going with him too. He's up to 18th position, so they're the big movers right now. McAllister has dropped 7 spots in car number 6. Meantime, Johnson goes after Kostecki as Hearn has 1 second out in front here. 7 victories next to his name. He's gone back into the series lead yesterday. But when you think 7 victories, you think, well, this guy should be leading by a country mile. But it shows you when you have 1 DNF, how quickly you can be brought back to the field.
Yeah, Owen Kelly's finished every race as opposed to Nathan Hearn, and he's averaging finishing position this year is like 1.9, so it's pretty remarkable. But you drop that one race, which is what he did at Sydney Motorsport Park, and it's hugely costly. And the point spread between first and every position down through the field is not massive. So if you fail to score, it's really damaging for your championship scenario. And we saw that at Sydney Motorsport Park for Nathan Hearn, but he's back in front now and will continue to build that margin as long as Kelly is mired outside, well, behind the Valvoline GRM car that leads the way. So Hearn, Kostecki, Johnson, 1, 2 and 3.
So here's the replay of the start. Thornborough will be putting 2 wheels on the dirt, right-hand side as he charged up a few positions before turn number 1. They thought about going 3 wide into turn 1. Whoa, that was close for Holdsworth in the middle of that group of cars. Now, it's fine getting through turn 1. Yes, they did that, but then you got turn 2 to contest with. So we take a look at the start here from Owen Kelly's perspective.
Oh, so busy. Oh, and off the road, Nick Carroll. We talked about the challenging weekend, and is that young Tom Heyman?
Yeah, and look at the donut rings down the side of the Hogan Prestige cars, and off the track is Bircher as well.
These were all drivers starting out of position further down the field than they'd generally run in this category. So this is where it all tees off. So Heyman wide a little bit there at turn 1, but that was okay. Oh, and Carroll gets into his rear corner. No, that won't be looked on too fondly. And then round the outside. That explains and unpicks all of that nicely. That doesn't look great from a race control point of view, does it? Front corner to rear.
If you're going to ask Tom Heyman what his most hated corner of Queensland Raceway is?
I'm going to put money it might be turn 2.
Oh, man. Yeah.
He just got wide on the exit of 1 there, so it compromised his run a little bit, cost him a little bit of momentum, and Nick Carroll thought he might be able to slide up the inside. Now, this has just happened.
Chris Pappas in front of his good mate Nash Morris, who, for the second time this weekend, took evasive action, but this time at the opposite end of the track. And Pappas careful not to stain up that livery. It's a cool-looking number he's got on there this weekend as now Johnson side by side with Kostecki. So the Napa Auto Parts car up against the Boost Mobile Camaro as they'll go side by side down the short back straight. They're bumping each other side by side here, Krause.
This is a big test for Jet Johnson. He's been doing a lot of racing lately in the local TA2 series and in Turtle Wax Trans Am. Still running around in the Excel every now and then as well in Little Hyundai. Oh, Holdsworth. Big moment for one of our key contenders. He told me this morning, he said, I just stayed out of trouble yesterday and it ended up going really well.
Yeah.
But he actually wasn't quite sure how it all played out. Now, he had a 5-second time penalty hanging over his head as well, which will still be applied. But he climbed to 3rd in the championship. If you're 2nd, 3rd or 4th in the championship this weekend, it's a pretty bad omen. And did he do that all on his own, or was he helped from behind? I think that was on his own.
Yeah, he was coming in hot, wasn't he, down there at 4. The Ash Seawood prepared cars, this will be from behind, so he was a fair way out on his own there. And yep, just tricky part of the track. That dropped him out of the top 5. He's also got injury to insult with a 5-second penalty at the start of the race.
Sorry, Knox, the point I was going to make about the Napa Auto Parts driver of Jet Johnson is that this is a real opportunity to showcase his ability on a track he knows really well against the very best. Nathan Hearn, the best in this class in its short history, as Nick Carroll heads into pit lane and tries to blend in with some TCR cars to hide what's been a pretty challenging weekend for that young guy. But he's up against the guy that's been on supercar podiums, on the Bathurst podium. Brody Kostecki's good at this car racing thing. So for a young guy like Jet Johnson, still learning his craft, this is a huge tick in the box. He has got really good pace.
And remember, Kostecki's had familiarity with these cars. He raced in a similar NASCAR Pro Series back in the mid-2010s before he returned to Australia. So he does know how to muscle one of these kind of cars around and took to it like a duck to water, although he wasn't happy with that 5th position in qualifying yesterday. He wanted to be further up, but he was chasing the car. He's a race car driver. Unless it's one, who cares?
I've seen drivers on pole unhappy with their qualifying performance.
Could have been quicker.
It says nothing. They're hard animals to please. There's no doubt about it. The Johnson family here. Dick and Jill, great to see them watching on. 15-second time penalty being shown for Tim Brook, who's currently running 13th. This has been a really dirty weekend for one of our key title contenders. Car 38 prepared by Wall Racing. Of course, run the factory Honda in Super Cheap Auto TCR for Tony D'Alberto. So they're a busy race team. They're a successful race team. Nick Carroll back out on the racetrack, but a long way down the order. Just trying to salvage some points now. There is Brook in the thick of the action, trying to carve his way and make his way towards the top 10. Eden Thornborough in the mix here as well, but he's still got the job to do. It's Rice in front, who's currently 11th. But that 15-second penalty, Nolts, in a field this tightly bunched, hugely costly.
He can't afford to drop any positions. He made up 9 until this moment, and Thornborough wants to go with him as well here as he comes back up through the field. The Sydney Property Care entry, car 116. Morris just behind this group of cars, who's made up 14 positions in the race. The Hoosier bag tie squealing for mercy through turn number 1 as Hearn 0.6 of a second to Kostecki. So the first 3 covered by less than a second. Into pit lane comes Cody Bircher in the 36 outside our commentary box window.
There's Nash. Super cheap auto back in. Another second, even third generation drivers. And speaking of, Johnson continues his attack on the back of the Boost Mobile car of Brodie Kostecki. I'm wondering with Nathan Hearn, is this margin genuine first to second, or is he just managing the process? Is he just keeping the margin comfortable, not overworking the Hoosier tyres on the Valvoline car, just managing it? Or is he driving it as hard as he can? And Kostecki and Johnson going with him. Love to believe the second, because that sets up a really tantalising final race, because they've definitely got the race pace to go with Nathan Hearn at this point in time.
Owen Kelly, 5th position now from 8th on the grid. So remember, he led the series coming into this one, but was caught up in that incident on the very first corner in yesterday's race. So that's how it looks, 1, 2 and 3 here. Hearn, Kostecki, Johnson. We go back to Lockie Dalton in 4th position. Behind is Owen Kelly. Kyle Girton, who just set his fastest lap of the race in 6th position, I should say. Ben Grice runs in 7th. Barber, McCorkindale and Harris is the top 10. Tim Brook in 11th position now.
And that 15-second penalty's disappeared. So our timing monitor showcases if they have a time penalty which can be added to the race time after the race has been completed. If there's a race with a compulsory pit stop, they will stop in pit lane. But in sprint racing like this, it just gets added to their time and they'll get hustled down the order. But teams can appeal that. They can get on the radio, question the decision, and ask race control to take another look. That penalty has been subtracted. One has been applied to Nick Carroll for obvious reasons of that contact at turn 2. However, that won't change his race. He's second last as it is.
Hard to retract that one, wasn't it? This was happening down at turn number 3. So that's Hargraves in car number 20. Second appearance for the number 20. He just kept it out of the gravel. I mean, there was half a Hoosier tyre in the gravel as he went through there. But the 20 stays in 21st position.
And the word through that Brett Holdsworth, who's had a pretty average day, he's got a 5-second time penalty, and that's for a start line infringement, either being out of position or going a little bit too early. So his day, having backed it into turn 4 unsuccessfully and ended up gyrating around, gets another penalty to come after the race. So currently 20th, but if he adds 5 seconds to his race time, he goes to 24th.
So we're working our way down towards turn number 3 here on lap 10. Let's go to pit lane. Here's Molly.
Well, we saw Nick Carroll come in a little bit earlier. That car was stuck in gear, so they have to get under and they can manually move that selector and get it out of that situation. So that's what his problem was back a few laps ago.
Do you feel a Days of Thunder reference coming here? Just give him the high gear!
Unfortunately, you need more than just top at this place.
Yeah.
It's very good from you, though. I like that. H-pattern 4-speed gearbox in these cars. G-force make that transmission. They're pretty tough. You get quite a bit of force put through them, though, and 525 brake horsepower from the LS-based Chev engine that powers all of these cars, irrespective of the body style. That was a decision made when the category came to Australia, just to have the one engine supplier across the board. In the States, in TA2 racing, they have different constructors, so Dodge has got a Dodge, Ford's got a Ford, but for cost containment, and that's been the whole driving force of this category, they decided to go with the one supplier. And it's made a huge amount of sense, and that means there's a pool of engines. Oh, this is big.
Pappas for the second time exits off the track and there had to be assistance. You don't tend to do that on your own in the middle of the turn, and it's Mick Rowell. All these guys are mates, technically. Not on the racetrack, but off the track. Mick Rowell, who got his best result yesterday in the Pacific Petroleum entry. So keeping up, oh, it's Sakara. So did he get served up first? Oh, and Pappas took evasive action and ended up on the infield down there where the snakes live. Kept it away from there, though.
I was talking about pools at the time. There's a lake down there. You can see that inside of turn 1. He almost ended up in it. And that young Tommy Heyman involved in that again. He has had the thick of it thrown at him this weekend on his Trico Trans Am debut. 7 laps to go at Queensland Raceway. There's the top 3. Nothing between Hearn, Brodie Kostecki and Jet Johnson. Lockie Dalton doing a nice job in 4th. Here is Heyman passing a car again on another comeback trail. This is number 3 for the race, I think.
Yeah, it's a big introduction. There's a bit of panel starting to peel away from his De Princio concreting entry. We go to pit lane once again. Here's Stubbsy.
Thank you. How good is this? We're at Queensland Raceway and Dick Johnson is just watching his grandson race up and down the Dick Johnson straight. Dick, he is holding himself so well out there against the defending champion and a guy who's just come off a supercars podium. How proud are you?
Oh, mate, he's doing a good job. He's obviously learning and learning fast, but it's just good to see that he races and races fair, if you know what I mean. Like, without sort of running into people and racing against guys like Brodie, I think it's good for him.
And a 2nd place yesterday, that was quite some achievement, his best result so far. So as you said, that progression is really starting to come on, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you know, the more racing he does, because he hasn't done a lot, and I think the better he'll get, I hope.
Dick, great to see you, Jill here and the rest of the family. Enjoy the rest of the race and maybe he can get himself up into 2nd again.
How the hell can you enjoy it, mate? I'm cacking myself.
Oh, we're all a bit tense up here.
The ever-direct Dick Johnson.
Never change. Never has, never will. I love it.
I love the fact it's so noisy down there, and he can still hear every single word that Chris Stubbs could say with the cars going past. He was the king of the in-car camera commentary back in the 80s and 90s in the Australian Touring Car Championship, and now a proud granddad watches the young fella out there in the Napa Auto Parts 117 as we work lap 13 of this race. You're watching the battle pack, 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the Trico Trans Am Series. One race still to go here this afternoon, right on Stan Sport.
Still get a buzz every time you have the fortune to go and chat to Dick and Jill Johnson. See Jilly up there on the fence watching on. We've just heard a little bit of team radio that's filtered through our way that Owen Kelly's been on the phone to the team asking if they can move Lockie Dalton out the way for his championship. As the 15 Rowell has gone around again, he's had a pretty challenging race. So some team play trying to play out, at least if you're Owen Kelly. Every little position helps. He's 5th at the moment, Dalton 4th. Not that far off the race lead, to be honest. As Johnson continues, this time goes around the outside of Brodie Kostecki. This is turn 3, about the over-under. He'll get good drive out. Kostecki can run wide, but the Napa car looks racy. Camaro and Mustang going at it on the run down into turn 4. And Johnson is closer than he's been in the last 4 or 5 laps. Kostecki gets it wrong, grabs the inside front. Is that the opportunity Johnson needed?
It's going to bring Dalton and Kelly into the mix, one way or the other. Did you get a bit of Malala feel then at the back straight when Johnson went around the outside? You know, the last corner there where they tried the outside. It never works, but it looked cool.
I did. Team SA, like it. This is a cool battle. A blue Ford with a number that includes a 17 on it, racing in Queensland. It's very, very cool indeed for a 3rd generation. And Kostecki just struggling a little bit at the moment. That inside front locking into turn 4. That's the last time you want to lock here, because remember, with all the right-hand corners, it's the left-hand side of the car that does all the work at this place. Let's have a look if it goes back to that locking when he gets on the brakes down here at 3. Johnson this time on the inside. Tried one way, what about the other? He's clear now, but Kostecki will get the better run up the corner. He's gone through. And Kostecki really slow off hesitation. Dalton goes one way, Kelly goes right then left, trying to swerve past. I wonder if there was a missed gear there perhaps for Brodie Kostecki, because he's chucked away 4 positions. Johnson to second, Dalton to third, Kelly's fourth.
Could it be stuck in gear? We have seen this before as well in the past. Let's come back to speed now, but he's lost a couple of positions in the process. Puts Johnson back up into second, Dalton into third position now. And look who's tagged on the back. It's Kyle Girton. Here's the replay on the way down to turn 3. Big move. And what he tried to do here was turn in and cover off the move from Kostecki. And Kostecki's car faulted on the exit, allowing Dalton to go and relieve him of that position.
It was right on the shift point, so trying to get the car into gear, and it was slow, accelerating all the way down the straight. How was Kelly weaving left and right? And he's since slipped behind Owen Kelly, so he's fifth, and he's got Kyle Girton in behind. Great pass from Johnson. Super run coming out of turn 2. Just got into the toe, was able to work his way past. Like traffic.
Always looks so busy for that behind shut down there when they're 2 and 3 wide.
Well, mainly because it is.
Yeah.
Such a good overtaking opportunity. It's always cool when you come to QR on the Friday, just go for a wander around the track, and that braking zone into turn 3, there's a lot of energy down there. And even in practice sessions, they're squabbling for position and working out braking points, locking inside fronts or rears. Cool spot to watch race cars, and part of the appeal at this place is you can get very, very close to them wherever you might be watching from.
Of course, we haven't been here for 3 years for Trico Trans Am. They've never raced here in the series. But with the upgrades that have gone on here since we were last at Queensland Raceway, the place looks incredible. New pit garages, new viewing decks, and the pit paddock area absolutely jammed in. In fact, they're out in the back car park this weekend with our massive undercard of support categories here. It's been a great weekend, good crowds yesterday, another solid crowd here today, taking in the sights of the Speed Series presented by Shannon's as we work our way towards the end of race number 2. It's Hearn, Johnson, Dalton, Kelly and Girton. Kostecki now back to 6th. Grice runs in 7th ahead of Barber, McCorkindale and Tim Brook.
Let's ride with Owen Kelly. Oh, bump, a little bit of a bump to Lockie Dalton. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th. A little love tap to remind him that he's there. The AWC Constructions entry, he crowded him. He's got the rears chattering away, Owen Kelly, but he gets it stopped. Dalton will fight back, but the Fujitsu car is clear.
You're clear, keep going, mate. Great job, 1 lap to go on the line.
There's the spotter telling him that, the engineer on the radio. He had that on the threshold of braking. That was really cool. You could hear the chattering as he jammed the thing into gear to try and get a bit of compression lock to help slow it down. Great move.
He got it done, just. Gets him back up onto the top 3, and that is critical to keep himself in the mix with the series. But he led coming into the round. The gap is 2 seconds. The wheel work from every single driver through turn 1. It's fascinating to watch.
Oh.
So we're on the final lap now. Nathan Hearn on his way to turn number 3. Large and in charge once again.
I think Owen's torched the rears on the Fujitsu car because it was sideways out of turn 6. It was sideways out of 1. It was really sideways out of turn 2 there. It's coming out of 3 now. It's a bit more of a gentle progression coming out of that corner. He's worked so hard. Started this one 8th. Couple of early positions and then just battled away. A little bit of help with Kostecki going slowly out of turn 2 and he was passed by Jet Johnson. But this has been an important drive. It's been a 19-point swing in the championship the way of Nathan Hearn so far, but a vital comeback. It sets up a thrilling finale this afternoon in Trico Trans Am, but oblivious to all of that, the defending champion, the Valvoline GRM driver, goes 2 for 2. Nathan Hearn wins race 2 in Trico Trans Am. Jet Johnson second again, and Dick and Jill can take a deep breath and breathe after that stressful moment while he was battling through the field. And Owen Kelly with a great comeback, as we just touched on, to get himself into 3rd.
Great race once again in race number 2 of Trico Trans Am. His 8th victory of the season as the rest of the field take the checkered flag. Thornborough finished in 14th spot. Proud granddad walks away once again because Jet Johnson finishes behind Nathan Hearn. Another top 2 result with Owen Kelly home for 3rd. That big move on the last lap. Dalton, Girton, Kostecki in 6th. Back to Grice, Barber, McCorkindale and Tim Brook from outside the top 20 finishes 10th.
Harrison Rice next. Nash Morris recovered to 13th in the end. Brett Holdsworth 15th, but the looming 5-second penalty coming Crutcher and Simpson, then Scatella, Hugh McAllister and Jack Sipp, Queenslander. Tom Heyman had it all in that one, 21st for him.
Thank you. In third place in Trico Trans Am, it was Owen Kelly. Owen, another impressive recovery drive after a pretty tough start to the weekend.
Yeah, thanks. It was just about minimising the damage and getting as far up as we could for this next race and try to, like I say, minimise the gap to Nathan. And, you know, we're less than half a race in it, so a problem for one of us is going to hand it to the other.
In terms of the car performance in that one, how is the speed?
Yeah, we tuned it up a bit in that one. It was pretty good, actually. We got caught there behind Lockie, get in hot air and brakes are fading and makes it pretty tough, but is what it is. You've got to get on with it.
See you in the next one.
Thank you.
In second place, another podium for the young gun, Jet Johnson. With all his family here, there is Jill and Dick are still here to celebrate with Jet. We'll move on through. He's just having a hug with Dad, Stephen. Jet, what a weekend you are having, mate. You're going hammer and toe there with a defending champion and Brodie Kostecki, if you don't mind. How was it for you?
Oh, that was great. You know, I think being able to, battling with Brodie was, that was pretty cool. But, yeah, smart driver. He was pretty good at putting me in some awkward spots there. So, yeah, that was great. But I want to thank, first of all the guys for everything they've done over the weekend, everyone who's out here to support me, and all my sponsors, Napa Auto Parts and everyone else for everything they've done for me.
Well done. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. You'll have another great starting spot. Go well.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move along. Gary Rogers just giving some instructions to Nathan Hearn. I don't think Nathan needs it. He's doing pretty well so far this weekend. Another win. Congratulations. How'd you find it?
No, it was great. You know, Gary's always given me words of advice, so I always take them on board. But no, look, it's been a great weekend so far. As I said before the race, we've put in a lot of blood, sweat and tears to these things, and we're finally starting to get the rewards from it. So big thank you to all the crew for GRM. It's not often you get a very fast race car, and we've got one under our hands this weekend, so fingers crossed we just mull on through the last race.
That's it. Congratulations. You'll start from pole position. All the best for the next one.
Awesome. Cheers. Thanks, Lovey.